Tonight on PhillyCAM Voices, we have two in-studio interviews. Our guests are Oronde McClain and Alim Howell, both local activists doing the work of addressing and preventing gun violence and its effects in Philadelphia. Good evening, and thank you for tuning in to PhillyCAM Voices. I'm your host, Sheila Lorette Emerson.
You don't want to miss this one.
Joining us in the studio, community reporter Caroline Suarez sits with Oronde McClain. Oronde is a Stoneleaf Foundation Emerging Leader Fellow and Survivor Connection Director. He was invited by the Philadelphia Center for Gun Violence Reporting to join their staff as the Credible Messenger Newsroom Liaison in early 2022 after having been a community journalist participating in the Credible Messenger Reporting Project. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for joining us today, Oronde. It's a truly honor to be here with you. In Philadelphia, your name is well known as a synonymous of leadership in fighting prevention for gun violence. Your recent role as Survivor Connection Director, as well as your Emerging Leader Fellow at the Stoneleaf Foundation, has been instrumental in amplifying survivors' voices and driving change. So beyond that, your journey is nothing short to extraordinary. Since your book, PTSD Won't Define Me, to your 6 children who doctors call like miracles. Your commitment with healing and change is huge. So let me ask you this, for a start, is this question, because I wonder why was working with and for survivors become your life mission? I mean, in Japan, there's a concept that they call ikigai, and it means like when you have a reason for living, and seeing your path looks like you have found it. So let us know a little more about that.
Thank you, Caroline, for having me, and thank you, PhillyCAM, for having me as well. And you brought up a good point. My life mission, let me back up here. I died for 2 minutes and 17 seconds. I saw the other side. I'm in this club that doesn't have no name. I don't want to be in this club, but I have to fight it because I am the leader of survivors. And I feel like I need to be a part of them. I need to lead them to victory. Some survivors, still be in the victim mode. They never cross the path to be a survivor, and that's hard. So I just want to see it through with them.
Okay, let's focus on the Survivor Connection initiative that you lead. Tell us, what is Survivor Connection?
Thanks. So Survivor Connection, I'm trying to bridge the gap between the media and the community. They don't get along very well. And the journalists and reporters, they do harmful reporting, as we see it every day. So I'm trying to aid them to do a better job. So Survivor Connections, we train survivors and co-victims what to do and what to say to journalists and reporters. So for instance, we have media literacy. Easy, then, how do you say off the record, on the record? Regular human beings don't know that. So we train them on that. We have media literacy and public health. We train them on public health. Gun violence is a public health issue, and people need to realize that. So we bring that to light as well. And we have a trauma talk, because trauma is real. And nobody, they don't like to open that box, but we're here to aid them if they want to open that box. We train journalists as well, as a 3-minute video to how to treat the survivors. be calm with them, be nice to them, be empathetic, because they are sharing their story and they don't have to. You need them. We don't need reporters.
Why do you think it's relevant? I mean, what that's changed with that experience?
Yeah, so that you brought up a great question. Why is it relevant? You know, gun violence is serious in Philadelphia.
It's a national crisis.
A lot of people are dying. Reporters, they knock on mother's door and say, hey, your son or your daughter got shot and they died. But reporters know that before the mothers. So how would you feel if a reporter was staking out your house saying your child died and you ain't even know? It takes them hours to know, but it's Action News that they knew that they died. So we dial it down. We dumb it down for a minute. And now you can train, when we train the survivors, the reporters can call a credible messenger in that area. If somebody got shot or injured, and say if it's 19141, the media can call them. Say, hey, can you meet me at such and such house? Or do you know where they live at? So it could be a credible messenger there with the reporter. Because reporters don't know communities. They rarely in communities unless something bad happens.
Yeah, it looks like it's more like extractive journalism in the worst moment of the community,
Yes.
unfortunately, right? So let us a little more about what, doing your trainings, what changes have you seen, for example, in survivors? Or you have also been working in the newsroom with journalists. What has changed? Do you think something has changed?
Oh, I
with
see
that?
a lot of changes in the news because I watch the news all the time to make sure they're doing their good job. I do ride-alongs with newsrooms. I go inside newsrooms. When they do their breaking stories, they call me first. So survivors, they see that now. They say, hey, Oronde, a reporter called me, and I was ready. When they said off the record, I knew to tell them, no, put this on the record. If they say, hey, audio only, I know that means that my face won't be shown. It was an incident in Temple. Somebody got shot point blank range, and it was all on social media. I called the news and said, hey, this is inappropriate. They took it away fast, about like 30,
So
45
journalists
cents.
are
They
receiving
are-
your suggestions?
Yes, I am real close with a lot of journalists because they understand. And they don't wake up and say, hey, I want to do bad reporting or harmful reporting. They want to learn just like us. So we just got to bridge that gap together.
Trying to bring that gap together. What do you think is the most challenge or limitation that you have to face trying to do that, to put together survivors and journalists?
The challenge I face is, it's two of them, so I say are. Hearing the survivors' stories, how journalists really abandoned them, saying, hey, I'm about to be on the news at 6 o'clock, and they get all excited, and a reporter got bumped, and they don't see their story. Or it's no follow-up story. You say, hey, 10-year-old got shot in the head, and all the media knows, but next week it's no follow-up story. Now that 10-year-old boy, you don't know what happened to him. Now he's doing great. He's playing basketball, but you don't know what happened because there's no follow-up story.
Good point. Maybe a final message, because we need to continue later with
Of
this,
course.
but if you would like to share with our Voices audiences a final message, what would you say?
We need more survivors. We need more co-victims to step up. We need more journalists to join the program. So I would say go to www.survivorsconnection.org or www.pcgvr.org because we're doing amazing work.
Thank you so much, Oronde, for
Nope.
being here with us,
No
sharing your
problem. Thank you.
Next, Caroline Suarez will converse with Alim Howell. Alim is an activist and advocate for the Philadelphia organization Race for Peace Committee. This organization was established in 2016 by Andrew Howell, Alim's father, to build more positivity among the community and law enforcement. Thanks for joining us in the studio.
Thank you, Sheila. And thank you, Alim, for coming also to be part of this episode
Yes, thank you guys for having me.
of Prevent Gun Violence. Ali, as you know, Voices show is to highlight the power of community, right? And how actively they build in solutions, not only figuring out problems, right? What do you think, in your perspective, is what is the more important more important value that comes to you when you think in become a leader? Because our audience are youth people, and we would like to share some values that inspire you in your leadership too. Which one do you think is one of a good value that is the most important for you?
The most important value to me, showing leadership, is trying to get a good connection with the youth out here. So then, especially my thing is similar to the same, trying to get these guns off the street, like the ghost guns. So then, my value is, and for the past few years, is throughout our city of Philadelphia, gun violence it's been going down, it seems like, and it's been slowing down, like what Kevin Bethel was saying on in his press conferences in the news and stuff, but it's still happening. Like this year, especially when it involves the youth, a Philadelphia high school basketball player got shot. That was early this year. So, and that was at Fells High School in Northeast. So then when stuff like that happens and stuff, that's my thing, like trying to stop it. But there's a lot of organizations out there, like my father's organization with Race for Peace, and then me advocating for it and others advocating for it and stuff like that. It's up to our elected officials, really, like Mayor Sherelle Parker, our police commissioner Kevin Bethel, our state house speaker and leader Joanna McClain. It's up to people like them to stop this gun violence. Like, we can do all we can as citizens and stuff like that throughout southeastern Pennsylvania, but it's really up to our elected officials to stop it, because they can put in legislation, policies, rules, and laws to try to stop it, and us advocating for it. That's all we can do. Like we talked before the interview about, you have to stand up, you have to reach out your voice, you have to do something about it. Us as citizens, we can talk about it and then keep voicing our concerns about gun violence. But at the bottom line is, it's up to our elected officials, like Mayor Sherelle Parker and our state representatives, our senators, Congress, to stop the gun violence, because they can change it in Harrisburg and in the White House. That's point blank.
That's exactly what also the organization that you represent here is trying to do it. Tell us a little more about what is Race for Peace.
Race for Peace is basically an organization that started in 2016. It's to mend the relationship between police officers and community citizens. So then what Race for Peace does, and my father and his friends, they have events throughout southeastern Pennsylvania, and that's Bucks, Chester, Delaware, Montgomery, Philly. And then they have events for the youth and then for adults, and then they can come out to the events, and then they'll see the police officers there at the events, and it can be like a barbecue, a basketball game, and stuff like that. Usually our King of Prussia Mall events, that's a meet and greet. So then it's like they have the police there and the communities there, and then that's just for them to see how they would interact with one another and get along in a positive way. That's been doing pretty well lately. Like there hasn't been no controversial police shootings, like with in Philly, like there's Eddie Irizarry and then Walter Wallace Jr., and it goes back to George Floyd out of state, Breonna Taylor. But then nowadays, you don't really see the controversy with police, so then that's a good thing. But then police in the community and having a positive engagement with the community, that'll always be relevant, because, with black and brown communities especially, sometimes the police can be more harsh with us at a traffic stop or just at an arrest or something, and the questioning can be more harsh. things could be more harsh. Like say last year, that was with the former NFL player, that was with Tyreek Hill when he got stopped in Miami. So certain things like that, shouldn't be happening with police throughout the USA. But then especially here in Philly, I haven't seen anything recently where it's been a controversial police shooting or anything like that where it's controversy.
Why work with police? I mean, especially coming from this all that you have described, why you feel that that's a solution or a possibility to do it?
Because sometimes it can be a little bit awkward because you're dealing with the police, especially as a black person or a brown person, but then someone has to do it. You know what I'm saying? Someone has to like change the mindset. It's really, really hard to do. And throughout watching my father do it with his friends and stuff like that, it's hard to change people's mindset about the police all the time. Men, women, it don't even matter. Like it just, at this point, it's like even white people, saying even they can be like, oh, I don't really like the police like that much. But, at the end of the day, it has to be a more mature mindset about the police because, it can't be always a negative mindset because they're here to protect us and serve us. That when you think about the police protecting us, that's like better. Like say we were out here, or they were out here for the Super Bowl when the Eagles won that day, and they were at home and stuff. That see how the police, it wasn't controversy. They were just protecting us and trying to move people away from City Hall. That wasn't anything controversy that happened. People went on the pole and, God sorry for some people being passed away by the pole and falling and stuff, but the police didn't do anything controversy that night. People were out there celebrating.
How you can share your experience trying to fit in this trust between community and police? Because I suppose it's part of the challenge of this experience. How you do it in peace, in Brace for Peace?
Basically, we just have events, and we hold the events. That's the way we've been doing it. When we hold events, that's the way to interact with police and citizens in the community, and that's the best way we know how to do it. And that's the way we've been doing it. When you have an event, and then the police, though, they have to also respond. Though they have to be interested. Certain Philly police districts, they have to, host the event and come out to the event and actually show up. And it has to be a two-way street, two-way communication. Sometimes, when it's one person trying to reach out and say, we should work together, we should collaborate, but then they don't respond, then nothing gets done. But then police departments and officers and stuff, they have to respond to accepting that they want to collaborate with the Race for Peace organization and make an event too, though.
Well, any final message that you would like that our voices audiences would like to know, should know about what are you doing, maybe inviting them, or what do you
Yeah.
a final message?
Well, yeah, we have a website. It's raceforpeace.org, and our Facebook page is at RFPC Social Media. But then it goes back to what I was saying in the beginning, that like, it's really the whole point is to stop this gun violence and stop it completely and lower it, and it's up to legislation and our political representatives to stop this thing. It's the gun violence. That's my message.
Thank you for joining us, Alim. So, Voices on PhillyCAM is a platform amplifying the essential voices driving social change. Today's guests highlight how communities are shaping progress through active participation, bold innovation, and collective empowerment, overcoming challenge to create lasting impact. Both initiatives share a critical element: the courage of their leaders to cross difficult lines and engage with key actors in the gun violence crisis, especially those the community does not trust. With Survivor Connection, Oronde is reshaping the relationship with journalists, challenging the harmful narrative that have historically misrepresented his community stories. On the other hand, with Race for Peace, Alim is breaking down barriers and building trust with law enforcement, creating dialogue where there was only distrust. In the current political climate, these grassroots solutions are not only vital, they are imperative for safeguarding democracy and building a more resilient and inclusive society. We hope coming soon with more community experiences here in Voices.